Hello everyone, welcome to the another lecture of atomic structure class 8. Myself Suman Singh. So in the last class we have discussed about the isotopes, right? So now in this class we will learn about how the arrangement of electrons around the nucleus of an atom take place, okay? Or basically we will talk about the electronic configuration also, right? So now let's start this. So when we talk about the arrangement of electrons around the nucleus of an atom, what we have seen till now, we have seen that electron revolve around the nucleus, right? As we have seen, what we have seen till now, that electron revolve around the nucleus, right, in an imaginary path called what, orbit or a cell, right? So always remember that the orbit which is very closest to the nucleus is called the first orbit, next to that is called second orbit, and so on. Like this, I will give you one example. Suppose this is a nucleus, this is the first orbit, second orbit, third orbit, right? So this one will be called as first orbit, second orbit, and third orbit, fourth orbit, so on, right? I hope you have understood this, right? So what we have seen, that the orbit closest to the nucleus is called what, first orbit, right? And the next orbit is called what, second orbit, and so on, right? Now what we have done to make it understand, for our understanding, what we have done, we have given the name to different various cells, okay? The suppose this is the first cell, this is the second cell, this is the third cell, okay? Or this is the third cell, suppose this is the fourth cell, right? So what we have done, we have given a various name. The first one, the first cell, okay, the first cell, we have given the name as K shell, okay? Second cell, we have given the name L shell. Third cell, we have given the name M cell. Fourth cell, we have given the name N cell. Fifth cell, O P, like this, N, right? We have given like this the name, as you can see here, and they are labeled as KLMNO and so on, 1 2 3 4, right? Like this, right? Now next is what, as you can see, each of these cell contains a different number of electrons depending upon the amount of energy associated with them. Means what, each cell, this K shell will have different amount of electrons, L cell will have different amount of electrons, M cell will have different amount of electrons, and this N cell will also have different amount of electrons. Means what, every cell contains different number of electrons, right? So and the number of electrons which each cell have, it will depend upon the amount of energy associated with them, right? So as you will see here, now the amount of energy associated with them, right? Each of this cell contains different number of electrons depending upon the amount of energy associated with them. Means every cell will have different amount of electrons and different amount of energy, okay? Yeah, different number of electrons and different amount of energy, right? I hope you have understood up to this. Now next, what it has said, that the cell closest to the nucleus has the lowest amount of energy and hence contains a least number of electrons. Means what I mean to say, that the first cell, which is called K shell, right, this K shell will have since this K shell has a lowest amount of energy, right? So that is why it will contain a least number of atom, means very less number of electron, right? Means this is what, why it is happening, since this first shell, which is a K shell, is very close to the nucleus, and hence the energy of this cell or orbit is very less, okay? And since the energy of this shell is very less, then what will happen, the number of electrons is also very less, right? Now we will see one by one. about this. Some of the rules which is followed while writing a number of electrons in a different energy level of cells. Okay, so as you can see, following rules are to be followed for writing the number of electrons in different energy or shell. So what is this rule? The first rule is the maximum number of electrons in each shell or orbit is determined by the formula 2n square, okay, and where n is the number of shell. I will explain you this. Now let me explain you this. What I have told you, that maximum number of electrons each cell will be will hold will be determined by this formula, right? 2n square, right? Here n is what? N is orbit number, okay, orbit number or shell number, okay. So let me explain you. Suppose I will draw here, this is our nucleus, this is the first cell, K shell, okay, and this is the L shell, okay. This cell is what? K shell, okay, and this one is L cell. So since this cell, K shell means first cell, first one in number is what? Number the first cell, K shell, is given a number 1, L cell is given number 2, right? So when we have to find out that how many electrons will be there in K shell, we will use this formula, right? 2n square, to find number of electrons. So here n is what? It is the number of cell. So as you can see, in the first cell, the number is given here, first cell, K shell is given number 1, right? So at that time n is what? Here n is, when we talk about the first cell, first shell, n is what? N is equal to 1. So number of electron in the K shell will be how much? 2 into 1 square, which will be 2. Means in the K shell, number of electron will be 2, right? I hope you have understood this, right? Now next, when we talk about the second shell means L shell. So in the second shell, number is given what? 2, right? So when we talk about the second shell or second orbit, what is the name? It is L, right? L is given the number 2, means the n will be here what? 2, right? So when we have to find out the number of electrons in the L shell, it will be like this: 2 into 2 square, which is 2 square is 4, into 2 is 8. That means in the L shell there will be 8 electrons, right? So I hope you are understanding this now. Next, if we are talking about uh, now if if it is, when we're talking about the M shell, let me draw here M shell. Suppose this is the M shell here, right? So this is what? This is our M shell, okay. M shell means number 3, number of orbit is, orbit number is 3, right? So when we talk about the third orbit or third shell, the number of electron n will be what? 3, right? So when we have to find out the number of electrons, it will be 2 into 3 square. So 3 square is what? 9, right? 9 into 2 is 18, means 18 electron will be there in M shell, right? Now again, when we talk about the N shell, after the M, if we are talking about the M shell, N shell, let me draw here, sorry. Suppose this is the N shell here, this is our N shell. Suppose N shell, KLMN, right? N means 4, right? Cell number is 4. So when you're talking about the fourth cell or fourth orbit, N is what? 4 here, right? So when we will use this formula, it will be 2 into 4 square, right? So 4 square is 16, right? 16 into 2 is what? 32, right? So in N shell, number of electrons will be 32. I hope you have understood this, right? So as you can see, it is written here. In the K shell, n will be what? N is 1, right? So number of electron will be 2. Now in the L shell, n is 2, so number of electron will be 8. In the M shell, n is 3, so number of electrons will be 18. And in the N shell, n is 4, and the number of electron will be 32, and so on. So I hope you have understood this, right? Now next is what? Electrons are not accommodated in a given cell unless the inner cell is filled. Means what will happen if how there will be arrangement. Suppose the and it is like this. Let me draw here. This is the nucleus, this is the first cell, this is the second cell. Okay, so if there is 4 electrons is there, suppose. So if there are 4 electrons, right? So how the filling will start? First of all, the 2 electron will come here. After that only the 2 electron will go here. It is not like that 3 electron will be here, because the maximum electrons it can accommodate is what? Only 2, right? So first of all 2 electron will be here. After that only this 2 electron will go here, right? Or it is not like this, that only 1 electron will be here, only 1 electron will be there, and 3 electron will come here. It will not be like this. Okay, first of all these 2 will fill first, this here 2 electron will come. After that only this 2 electron will go in this next orbit. Okay, now suppose this was some first example. Suppose we have 11 electrons. Suppose we have 11 electrons. So at that time what will happen? In the first cell, how many electrons can accommodate? 2 electron. After that 8 electron will come here. 1 8 electron will come here. Okay, as you can see, 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 and 8. After that only in the next orbit this 1 electron will come. I hope you are understanding this, right? So as you can see, an electron can accommodate in a given cell unless the inner cell is filled. Thus the cell are filled step by in a stepwise manner. So I hope you have understood this, right? Now some of the electronic configuration of some of the element is given here. Hydrogen, you can see atomic number is what? 1. So first in the only K shell. Helium, only K shell. Lithium, atomic number is 3, means 2 electron will first it will come in the L cell, K shell, and after that only 1 electron will go in the L cell, right? Now again beryllium, 4 is here, right? So first 2 electron will come here. After that only the 2 electron will go here, right? So in this way the filling of electron used to take place, right? So I hope you have understood this, right? Now from here what we can conclude, that the maximum number of electron in the first cell will be 2, in the second cell will be 8, in the third cell 18, and fourth cell 32. However, the outermost orbit of an electrically neutral atom cannot have more than 8 electrons. Okay, so I hope you have understood this, right? So keep up to this. In the next class we will discuss about the octet rule, right? Till that, thank you.